figure 8 wrist roll. This is probably one of the most important wrist rolls that you'll ever learn, and I'm just going to work the front one right now. We're going to start with our right hand, and we're going to do the standard figure 8, okay? Now remember, every time we're at 12 o'clock, we're slashing over to the other side. 12 o'clock slash, 12 o'clock slash. So 12 o'clock slash. I'm going to add one more time signature, which is 6 o'clock. Every time you're at 6 o'clock, you're going to do a hand roll. Here's how we're going to start it off. We're going to extend our hand like this, and we're just going to start with the basic wrist roll, or this basic circular spin. And we're going to cross our body. So I'm using my right hand, I'm crossing my body over to the left, and once it hits 6 o'clock, I'm going to do the wrist roll. Now the wrist roll is going to put me into a back grip. So this may be a little bit different than a figure 8. What we're going to do, once we accomplish the 6 o'clock, is our hand's going to come over, and it's going to be in a back grip, and we're going to slash it down across, and once it hits 6 o'clock again, we're going to do the wrist roll, which should take it to the front grip. Now if you don't know what a wrist roll is, just remember that we covered that in the last class. That's where you're taking the chain and you're wrapping it around the back of your fist, and it looks like this, very slowly. Step 1, the chain goes over the back of the fist. Step 2, after it goes over the back of the fist, you open your hand, and your hand, immediately this will fall into your hand from the momentum, and this should roll over. Usually I said, well, there's nothing else you can do after that, because then you have to stall it. Then you have to stall it if you want to go the opposite direction, unless we learn the infinites, which we'll get into later. But if you go to the wrist roll, what happens is, when it's at its point where it would have been stuck, you're slashing it over to the other side, which causes everything to 180 over. Now that everything's inverted, we can do the other wrist roll with ease. And that's what causes it to where you can continually do those 2 wrist rolls back and forth, because every time we switch 180 degrees, the law is, every time you switch 180 degrees, everything reverses. So, we'll try this again. We're slashing down, we're slashing down. As soon as we start to come up, which is 6 o'clock, wrist roll. Slash down, wrist roll. Slash down, wrist roll. Slash down, wrist roll. If that's difficult, try this. Give it 3 rotations first. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, slash and a wrist roll. And then 1, 2, 3, slash and a wrist roll. 1, 2, you get it right. 3, slash and a wrist roll. Keep doing that. Eventually, what you should come up with is something that looks like this. Looks kind of sloppy right now, and that's okay. We're going to tighten it up after that. Soon you won't use your hand so big. You won't be swinging so big. All you're going to do is just let it swing over, straight over like this. I tend to put an extra beat in my wrist rolls, probably from Poi, but just so you know, it may look slightly different. It should look more like, oh man, it's so hard to do without that extra beat. Just so you know, I usually put an extra beat with my wrist roll, so if you see that extra inward swinging out, that's just because I like circles. You totally don't have to add that in, but if you do, you have an extra circle right there. Wrist roll, slide it through. If you don't, it'll look like this, which is still fine. Oops. It's really hard for me to do that move. I'm like so conditioned to do it the other way now, it's hilarious. But if you add that extra beat, what'll happen is, well, you create more circles, which is always a good thing. We're also going to do it standing forward. But before we do it standing forward, you got to do it with both hands, don't forget. So we're going to do it with our left hand. We're going to be doing our circular spins. We're going to cross it over, wrist roll. Slash it down, wrist roll. So keep in mind, we start here. Every time we cross it down, we wrist roll. Every time we hit 12 o'clock, we cross it over and we wrist roll it again, okay? So 12 o'clock, cross. 6 o'clock, wrist roll. Put my hand down, because I can't explain this enough. This may be really hard to get at first, and that's perfectly all right. For some people, it takes months. It actually takes months. For some people, it may take hours. But no matter what it is, it does take time to build this. Just remember, 12 o'clock, cross. And then do this. Wrist roll, cross, wrist roll, cross, wrist roll, cross. Usually, the wrist roll that I use is when I'm standing facing the wall plane, which is where our ribs are coming from. And the wrist roll that I use, standing forward, we're going to do the same thing, except for it's coming across the hip like so. Now this may be a very strange place to be if you're not used to it, so you may want to spin in front of a wall first to practice your figure eight this direction. The trick to getting a good figure eight at the hip is actually the upward lift in the back, okay? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my right hand, and we're going to go clockwise in the front. So it's going to move clockwise in the front. Once it hits 12 o'clock, we're going to move it in the back. Now the trick to the movement in the back is you don't have a whole lot of rotation when your arm's behind your back, so you lift your arm up like this. Lift. I'm over-exaggerating it to kind of show you. So as soon as I make 12 o'clock and it goes to the back, I'm lifting my arm up. And that upward lift from 6 o'clock is what's going to give it enough momentum for that rotation to go. That's an exaggeration. It's really a very subtle kind of push in the back. What you should look like is this. Once you hit 6 o'clock here, we'll do a front to back wrist roll. And once we get to the back, we're going to do a back to front. So front to back to front to back to front, lift, front to back to front, lift. Front. Remember that's where that lift is, front to back to front, lift, like that. Be able to do both hands. I'm not going to go over this and break it down like I did the other one because it's exactly the same technique sideways, except this time we're bending it around while we're standing into this wall plane, which is the plane where you're facing the camera or the audience. So front to back, slash, back to front, as I hit the wall, lift. Front to back to front, lift. Front to back to front, lift. Front to back to front, lift. Now, once you get comfortable with that, do it with the other side. Front to back to front, lift. You guys, do not feel bad if it takes you the entire week to get the figure eight wrist roll. Feel good if you can get it in 3 weeks. If you can get it in 1 week, that's amazing. You should feel great. If you can get it in a couple hours, you're insane. You're awesome. Okay? You want to be able to do the figure eight wrist rolls more than any other move because that is the move that will save you when you're spinning fire chucks. That's the move that will cause the most rotations and the most spins. The reason why the figure eight wrist roll is good in fire chucks is because the hardest part about fire chucks is you have the fire that's underneath your arm. So you have to keep it in motion. For the comets of fire, what's going to happen is they're going to spin around each other. So you don't have the same part of the stick. You just change the stick, and you just change the stick again, and you just change the stick again. So it's moving in a fast enough rotation to where the comets are chasing each other, kind of like a dog chasing its tail. And that's kind of where you want to be, especially when you first start fire chucks. Even if you're not using fire chucks, the effect of the rotations into itself is part of the biggest reasons why you would choose nunchucks over other props. So practice those figure eight wrist rolls all the time until you can do it in your sleep. Next class we'll work on reverse figure eight wrist rolls. If you have any questions about figure eight wrist rolls, please feel free to contact me. I'll make another video if we have to, but this is the core of what you need to know and perhaps the most important technique because so much builds off of it.